much. We'll talk about the potential of problems today. How many just love having problems? Sure we do. But there's potential in problems, like it or not, good things can come out of problems. We're going to talk about that today. James chapter 1. It's right after Hebrews, so it's kind of towards the end of the Bible, and if you flip too fast, you'll miss it. It's one of those short books. And I want to read verses 2 through 4, and then verse 12. So would you please stand as I read, and listen to what James has the audacity to say. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And then verse 12. Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him. All right, you may be seated. Consider it pure joy when you face trials. How many just totally embrace that word from the Lord already this morning? It's one of the problems, isn't it? We don't have problems. I don't have problems most of the time. I bet you. I kind of like it when everything's just going smooth. But problems come our way from time to time. It's just the way life is. And Jesus even promised that if you're going to be a dedicated follower, there's going to be problems in your life. And so how do we handle it and what comes of it? And there are good things that come out of problems if we handle it right. The first one is this. Problems flex your faith. Problems will flex your faith. If you do it right, you get your heart focused on the Lord in the midst of your problem, and your faith will be strengthened. And faith is incredibly important. In 1 Corinthians 16:13, it says that we should stand firm in the faith. In 2 Timothy, when Paul's near the end of his life, he says, I have kept the faith. It's one of the things that he can put a finger in the sky. I kept the faith. And then Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. So we have to have faith, and our faith needs to be strengthened. It needs to be strong, and it needs to be growing. The disciples themselves, when they were with Jesus in person, they said, Lord, increase our faith. Faith needs to grow and be strong. And problems will flex our faith. It's a little bit like weightlifting. Anybody here ever done some weightlifting? Yeah. That flexes something in your body. And if you do it right, it hurts a little bit. And there's definitely some resistance. In fact, that's the primary principle in weightlifting is there's resistance that your body has to overcome, and it flexes your muscles. And if you persevere, your muscles become stronger and bigger, right? I see it. He's got a big ache. Stand up in your chair, buddy, and show everybody your muscle. I love it. Thanks for helping me out, man. Problems flex our faith. Job endured some of the worst kind of problems. And not just once, but several times. Just everything went wrong in his life. But he kept the faith, and in the end, his faith was strengthened. If you know Job's story, in the end, after he survived all of those things, he said to God, I had heard about you, but now I have seen you. You see, his faith grew as he endured the problem. And it's important in this, the testing of our faith, the way that comes is by keeping our eyes on the Lord Jesus. You see, when problems come, if we just run away or kind of get mad at God and ignore God, then that's not going to flex our faith. But if we keep our eyes on Jesus, our faith will be strengthened through it. Think of Peter walking on the water. Remember the story? Jesus comes walking out him. Jesus says, come on out here. So Peter does it. He waits on water for a little bit. But then he starts looking at the wind and the waves. The problems. He starts getting focused on the problems. And he starts to sink. But then he gets his eyes back on Jesus, and Jesus pulls him up. It's important to keep your eyes on Jesus. I sometimes like to think about what the disciples must have talked about from time to time. Because these were just regular guys. I mean, they were fishermen and hard workers. And, you know, if they're like most guys, they're going to compare notes from time to time. And Peter's going to say, hey, guys, remember that time I walked on water? Y'all didn't walk on water. And the other disciples say, remember Peter how you got on wet? Literally, remember? And Peter said, yeah, but at least I got out of the boat. The problems can test our faith if we keep our eyes on Jesus. The second one is this: problems produce perseverance. That's what James says here. When you face trials of many kinds, the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Problems will produce perseverance. Perseverance is just simply hanging in there. In fact, biblically, it's actually a little more than that. It's cheerful endurance. Okay? Now, I can be a tenacious person. I call it persistence and tenacity. Some people call it bullheaded and stubborn. Depends on the way you look at it. But it's not always simple. Sometimes it's just bad determination or I'm not letting go of this thing. But in the Bible, it's cheerful endurance. That's what perseverance really is. And I think of Paul and Silas. They were thrown in jail for preaching the gospel of Christ. And I think, man, if that was me, if I got arrested just for preaching the gospel, I think probably I'd be pretty discouraged. But my friend Travis, they're in jail and they're singing praises. You know, they're cheerfully enduring it, but they even considered it a privilege to be persecuted because of their faith. And they just pressed on with their cheerful endurance. Philippians chapter 3, verses 12 through 14, talks about pressing on. It says, I press on to take hold of that for which Christ Jesus took hold of me. Brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining for what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward. We all like to press on, don't we? And make it our way. Our problems can produce that kind of perseverance where we just keep pressing on. And it's like a marathon. This Christian walk, this race that we're in, is not a sprint to the finish line. It's a marathon. And the best example I can ever think of regarding a marathon is Julie Moss in the Ironman triathlon in 1983. And let me just read this article about her. It says, after the first leg, a 2.4-mile rough water swim, the 112-mile bike race, and the final leg, the 26.2-mile run, she found herself winning at the 26th mile. She had a 6-minute lead. Her closest competitor was a mile behind her. With half a mile left to win the Ironman, her victory clearly unfurled on the ground before her. Moss began cramping, shifting her gait to a bizarre, irregular motion. Within feet of the finish line, her legs gave out. She fell with such unnatural movements on the side of the final stretch that it appeared nearly fatal. She tried to rise and walk, losing control of her body, and then starfish, her limbs spiraled down on the ground. At one point, when Moss struggled not to lay supine, the footage shows her competitor, Kathleen McCartney's pair of tennis shoes going past. It put Moss in second place. I thought, I can't get up again. I sort of went out that tactic, but I can crawl. I don't know if it was a surge of newfound competitiveness or if I had just become territorial about my position in the lead, but I didn't want to come this far and have it taken away from me, she explained. She lay on the ground, leaning on her arms and legs like a tripod to stagger to a walk and start again. Ruth crawled the last 10 yards of the race. She pushed herself to the point of losing control of bodily functions. She shooed off those trying to help her up, not wanting to be disqualified for outside assistance, and even by accident, Mother Eloise offering her a lay as she tried to stand across the line, still running, but she kept falling. A pained creep, the only option she had. NBC's Jim McKay spoke for the many who had seen it when he called Monta's finish the most inspiring sports moment he had ever seen. During that ordeal, she says, my life was going to be different. I felt my life changing. I made a deal with myself. The deal was struck. And I don't care if it hurts. I don't care if it's messy. I don't care how it looks. But I would finish. I would finish. She completed those last 10 yards 29 seconds after McCartney, the competitor who had passed her. It remains the smallest margin of victory for any Ironman competition. Ruth still thinks about what it would have been like to win, but credits her near win for leaving her irrevocably changed. It was a pivotal moment in my life. That voice that I hadn't ever called upon that just said, keep moving forward. That's our call as well. Keep moving forward. Persevere. And problems produce perseverance. In Revelation chapter 2, Jesus is talking to the church in Thyatira, and he says, I know your deeds, your love and faith, your service and perseverance, and that you are now doing more than you did at first. And then he promises them authority over the nations because of their perseverance. How many want to persevere all the way and finish the race? Problems can produce perseverance. If we keep our eyes on Jesus, if we keep the faith, it produces perseverance. And then problems can also motivate maturity. In verse 4, perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. This is fullness. It's completion. Ephesians 4:13 is one of our key verses here when we think about the purpose of the church. And the idea is for us to become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ. We need to grow up in our faith. Oswald Chambers says maturity is the stage where the whole life has been brought under the control of God. Charles Swindoll says one of the marks of spiritual maturity is the quiet confidence that God is in control. And I like this part especially. Without the need to understand why he does what he does. That's maturity. I know God is in control even if it makes no sense to me. I still trust God. That's maturity. And John McCartney says, maturity begins to grow when you can sense your concern for others outweighing your concern for yourself. That's maturity. In Romans 5, verses 3 and 4, it says, it has a similar vein as James' text here. It says, we also rejoice in our sufferings. Oh, yay. We rejoice in our sufferings. But listen to what he says. Because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character. And character, hope. You see, it flows in a sequence. We suffer, we face problems, but if we keep the faith, we persevere, and we grow up, and we gain character and maturity. And there are no shortcuts on the way to spiritual maturity. If you really want to grow up in the faith, you're going to have to face some problems. And keep your eyes on Jesus through the problem. And somebody said, when growth starts, decay begins. So I don't want to rot. Rotting stinks. I don't want to stink. So I want to keep growing. How about you? So if we're not perfect, let us at least be progressive. Let's keep moving forward. And then number 4, problems cultivate compassion. Listen to what 2 Corinthians 1, 3 and 4 says. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God. You see, when we go through problems and we keep the faith and we persevere and we begin to grow up, then there's compassion for somebody else that is going through a problem similar to what we have. We have sympathy. We empathize with them because I've been there. I've done that. I know what that's like. And so I'm compassionate for that person. It's been said no man is a good physician who has never been sick. You know, it's a lot easier to have mercy on somebody when you've experienced the same thing. And ministry often flows out of past problems. How many homeless shelters are staffed by volunteers who once were homeless? How many jail ministries are carried on by somebody who had been in jail at one time? Survivors of abuse that go on then to counsel and help those who are going through abuse. See, that's what God does. He turns a bad situation around and makes it a good thing. Now you can help somebody else. Problems cultivate compassion. Listen to what Psalm 66:16 says. Come and listen, all you who fear God. Let me tell you what He has done for me. That's a great testimony. I don't need to be a great theologian, but I know what Jesus did for me. I had some problems, and He got me through them. Let me tell you about it. Problems cultivate compassion. And 1 Thessalonians 5:11, we're familiar with it. Encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Have you ever been there, done that with some issue? I'm not going to lay out any specifics, but, we've all had an issue from time to time, right? So when somebody else is going through something like you did, be compassionate and encourage them through the problem. And then, number 5, problems set the scene for the supernatural. The Gospels and the book of Acts tell this story. And listen to this. All miracles have one thing in common. They started with a problem. See, there was this guy that regained his vision. It started with a problem. He couldn't see. He was blind. But that set the stage for a miracle to happen. There was another one, this woman who had been dealing with blood, bleeding, for many years. That was a problem. But it set the stage and she was healed. There was a crowd one time, 5,000 some people, that were listening to Jesus preach. And they got hungry. And they were kind of out in the middle of nowhere. That was a problem. How are we going to feed these people? But it set the stage for the supernatural, and a miracle began to take place. There was a leper one time who was an outcast from society and dying from his disease. But it set the stage. He had a problem, but he got cleansed. Peter and Paul and Silas had a problem. They were thrown in jail. But it set the stage for the supernatural. And they were delivered and set free. Problems set the scene for the supernatural. So let me ask you this. Don't answer out loud, but just to yourself. What's your problem? Let me put it another way. What is your miracle waiting to happen? Problems will flex our faith. If we keep our eyes on Jesus, our faith will grow. And then we can persevere. And we can mature in our faith. And we can have more compassion for others. But ultimately, God could do a miracle in your situation. So there's great potential in problems. And it helps us understand when the gospel writers say, rejoice in your sufferings. Consider it pure joy when you face trials. That's a hard pill to swallow. But when I start to see these things, I want to persevere all the way to the end, so I guess a problem here and there is okay to help me persevere. And I want to be compassionate for people, and I'm more compassionate when I've gone through it myself. So I guess it's okay for me to go through it. You understand? I want to grow up in my faith. I don't want to just be a baby Christian my whole life. So I got some problems along the way that will help me grow up. That's okay. And boy, I want to see some miracles and healings in my lifetime. How about you? And so, if we're going to see some miracles and healings, there's got to be some sick people and some problems first, right? And I'm not wishing a problem on anybody, but understand my heart. It allows God to do some things that couldn't be done otherwise. And so I'm okay with that. If God wants me to go through a problem so that He can do a miracle, I'll say yes to that. How about you? Amen? Would you please stand? And I'm going to just pray in general for all of us, but then if there's anybody that would like individual prayer, I know there's at least one that would like a little time of prayer after church here. But if there's others that maybe you're going through a problem and you need God to help you with it, I'd love to pray with you this morning.